Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1248B, and today's date is April 6, 2017, and the title of the episode is The Deep State is Going All In with Syria. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the corporate media, they are making a really big deal about Bannon being demoted, and of course, Pence is out there saying that no, he was not demoted whatsoever. I think Bannon was just a placeholder so they can get someone else in there. Once Michael Flynn resigned, they needed someone just to sit in that spot, and I think he was the candidate that was sitting in that spot. And we can see that the corporate media, they're trying to make this into a really big deal. But we can see right now that Nunes, he is recusing himself from the Russian probe. He said he was doing so after several left-wing activist groups filed false accusations against him with the Office of Congressional Ethics, but that he would stand aside from the Russian investigation until it is resolved. He said in a statement he was temporarily handing over the investigation to committee member Mike Conaway, Trey Gowdy, and Tom Rooney. Now, Gowdy led a congressional investigation into the September 2012 terrorist attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi. And Trey Gowdy, as we know, really put Comey on the spot with his questions. And I'm hoping, since Trey Gowdy is going to be handling this, that he gets to the bottom of everything, unless they get to him. We see this recusal of Nunes, well, it is temporary, and we can see that if he can settle what is going on here, he will be coming back. But we see right now that the deep state, they're very nervous about where this is all going. They're very nervous. They need to stop the investigation into this spying. And they are putting out many stories to say that this whole spying thing and unmasking people, this is a normal, everyday thing. Because what they're saying is that this report shows that spy agencies routinely unmask lawmakers every day, all the time. The U.S. government's foreign surveillance incidentally collects information on lawmakers and their staffs as often as once a month, according to a new report. In what it seems like the first attempt to shift the narrative away from Susan Rice and all her wrongdoings, they're trying to make it seem like this is a normal occurrence. We unmask all these individuals. We know who all they are. Well, if this is really true, then aren't they really spying on the American staffers and people in Congress and everything else? Because if they're just continually unmasking people, and they're doing it all the time, and they know what all these individuals are saying, they know their deep, dark secrets, they know who they are, well, isn't this just spying on Americans? I mean, I really think they're backing themselves into a corner. But they're trying to make it seem like this is an everyday thing that everyone always does. And of course, what is happening here is they're trying to shift everything away from what's really happening. And is it going to work? We don't know. But we can see right now, they are pushing their agenda very, very hard. They have a lot of distractions. And like I said, if they can't get this to go away, they're going to push another distraction, another event, somehow, some way to shut this down. They already removed Nunes by filing fictitious complaints. Most likely, if Trey Gowdy gets in their way, they'll do something to get rid of him. He's a smart guy. He might be able to handle them. But we need to understand something very, very important here. When Trump was elected and when people were out there and they were on his campaign trail and they were voting for him and they're like, yes, he's going to be the next president. I know a lot of people had a lot of hope. A lot of people thought, oh, thank God, all this is going to end. The deep state's going to disappear and he's going to be the savior. And we are starting to see that this is not true whatsoever. Actually, when I start looking at everything, all the years that I reported under Obama, I think it's 10 times worse now. The economy, the situation around the world, what the deep state is doing, because they're not hiding anymore. They're out in the open, letting you know, here we are, and guess what? We're not giving up. We're pushing our agenda. And we can see it's not just the deep state. There's the neocons, there's the central bank. They're all out in the open. I mean, look, McCain, he's in Congress, and in front of everyone, He's saying Rand Paul is working with Putin. I mean, when would you ever hear this? So right now, they're showing you that, listen, we're not afraid. We're going to get our way, and we're going to keep pushing no matter what. And this is what we're seeing. And it looks like, and I've said this before, we need to look at the actions of the individuals that we put into office. Yes, they say a lot of things on the campaign trail. They say a lot of things when they first get into office. But if you notice, things slowly change. The people behind the curtain, those individuals who have a talk with these people, all of a sudden we see their actions changing from what they said to what they're actually doing. And we can see right now that 1 minute they're saying that Assad can stay, we don't care, Tillerson, Trump, Nikki Haley, all out there saying, not a big deal. Then all of a sudden, boom, Assad must go. This is unacceptable. And we can see right now that things are rapidly changing. We see in South Korea, I know we're very worried about North Korea creating a ballistic missile, but South Korea, well, they achieved their goal. After 4 years, they developed a ballistic missile with a range of 800 kilometers, which is sufficient to hit any target in North Korea. Wow. They finally figured it out. Now they have a ballistic missile at the perfect time so they can attack North Korea. I mean, the timing is incredible. Don't you think? I mean, look what's happening today. We see things are rapidly falling apart in the Middle East. We see right now the UN-backed government, actually the government the United States put in there, the intelligence agencies, the deep state, they put this UN-backed government in there saying, this is your government, people, you will accept them. Well, we know the people aren't accept them. And what is happening right now, we see that U.S. officials right now are meeting with the leaders of the UN-backed Libyan government in Germany. And I wonder what they're talking about, how well everything is going, or what's going to happen next. Because we can see right now that Russia is getting involved in Libya. They're on the side of Haftar, General Haftar. We know that Haftar wants weapons from Russia. We know Haftar has made many gains. He's captured oil ports. The UN-backed government is not supported by the people whatsoever. And we can see right now there's trouble there. This is why they're meeting with U.S. officials, the deep state, the neocons, because they're making a plan for their next move. We know more troops are heading into Libya. They're going to beef up operations in Libya. They're going to be bombing more in Libya. I mean, what we're seeing is a full-out war in the Middle East to regain control. This is what we're seeing right now. And this is not going to end anytime soon, because they're going to keep pushing until they get their way. Now, we know that Turkey has been carving out the area and controlling the border between Syria and Turkey right now. And Assad is out there saying that Turkey hinders Syria in controlling the state border. Well, Turkey doesn't want Syria to have control because this is where the terrorists move in and out. This is why they carved out this area. This is why they've been carving out many of parts of Syria, because they're getting ready and prepared to basically separate Syria if they have to. Now, we can see right now that Turkey is out there, and we know that this Syrian gas attack, it is completely fake, phony, and false. I mean, we're looking at the information here, and nothing's even making sense. And we can see right now, going back over time, we've seen this before. Actually, they're replaying everything they've done before, and they're hoping that it works. Will it work? I don't know. But it looks like they're trying to get Trump on board with this. And maybe Trump has been persuaded. And maybe he's moving to the dark side. We have to wait to see his full actions. Because we can see right now, things are really ramping up. Turkey is out there. They're saying that Thursday, the autopsies of 3 Syrians killed in an attack in the rebel-held northwestern Syria confirmed that chemical weapons had been used. The scientific investigation also confirms that Assad used the chemical weapons. And this is coming from the Turkish official. And they said, we worked with the World Health Organization, and yes, together we figured it out. But there's a problem here. the World Health Organization immediately countered what Turkey just said, saying that, no, we really didn't do any of this. The claims that Turkey made, well, it was involved in the post-mortem, saying the organization did not conduct autopsies, adding it is not our mandate. World Health Organization spokesman Tarek Jasarafik said in Geneva that the World Health Organization person was there at the time of the autopsy but had no role in the autopsy or investigation. He also stressed that no samples or swabs had been taken by the World Health Organization. So Turkey did this on their own, and they're trying to make it look all official by bringing in the World Health Organization. And it looks like this, again, is fake, phony, and false. Ron Paul is out there saying, zero chance Assad was behind the chemical weapons attack in Syria. Likely it is a false flag, because we need to look at the situation and say, okay, why in the world would Assad do this at this point? He has Russia working with him. The Islamic State is beaten there. He has the support of all his people. You know that 80% or more, because polls were taken, they support what he's doing. He's been winning and liberating village, town, city. So how in the world would this benefit him? Who would this actually benefit? When you really look at the situation, it would benefit the losers. It would benefit those people who want Assad removed. Because once the Islamic State is completely annihilated in Syria, why does the U.S. need to be in Syria? It doesn't. And the time right now is that the Islamic State is almost done. The neocons, the deep state, the central bankers, they know this, and they know eventually there's going to be no excuse to stay in Syria. So they need to go all in Syria right now. And there's no time to waste. And this is exactly what they're doing. Now, Russia, they've submitted data and a resolution calling for an impartial investigation. And this is what the U.S. really doesn't want. They don't want an investigation. They just want to show up pictures and point to someone. And again, this is not how you run an investigation to show that something happened. That's propaganda. Have an investigation and making the links and showing evidence, well, that shows you who is really responsible, because if they do this, well, the U.S., the U.K., France, Israel, and the rest, they know all fingers are going to be pointing back to them, and this is why they don't want this done. So what do we know right now? Well, evidence from the Khan Shaykhun does not support assertions of airborne chemical weapon use. Evidence which has emerged in the aftermath of the attack of Khan Shaykhun, well, it indicates that not only has the nature of the attack been misreported by the media, but the certain individuals on the ground in Syria, well, they might have had foreknowledge of the attack up to several days before it happened. Now, why do you say that? Well, on April 3rd of this year, an anti-Assad journalist tweeted the next day he would be launching a media campaign to cover airstrikes in this area, including the use of chemical weapons. Now, how did he know this? How did he know that this was going to happen? Observers further noted that on April 1st, a doctor on the ground had received several shipments of gas masks in the days running up to the chemical incident. And additionally, the footage from the scene of the incident, taken by the Syrian White Helmets, appears to show that their operatives were not assisting victims in a manner that was consistent with the established protocol on how to handle sarin-saturated bodies. So we can see already there's a problem here. And we know that the rebels, well, we know they possess and use chemical weapons in Syria for some time now. They keep them in warehouses. Actually, they ship them up from Iraq into Syria. Now, when we look at this evidence, we can see that, again, things are not making sense. Someone's lying here. But it doesn't matter. They're using propaganda. And what should scare everyone at this point is what the Trump administration is doing. Now, if he's going along with all this, guess what? The deep state controls him. We'll be able to see with his actions. If he's calling up military assets, we already know they're already there. They've been bringing in C-130, C-117s. They've been bringing in military assets. We know there's a lot of troops moving from Iraq into Syria, and there's a lot going on right there because they've been planning to separate Syria. They like to get rid of Assad and take over the entire country, but if they can't get that, they will be okay for a time being with a Syria that is separated. Now, just a couple days before this happened, Tillerson, Trump, they were all saying, yeah, Assad, he can stay, not a big deal. And I said, no way. There's no way they're going to let this happen. They're getting prepared to balkanize Syria. And here we are today. They're doing exactly that. Because Tillerson and Trump, well, they did a 180. Now they're saying Assad must go. And they're saying that steps are underway to remove Syrian President Assad. Now, is the deep state now controlling them? Are they really believing all this information without looking into it? If he is going along with it, well, he's not working for the people anymore. Or maybe he was never working for the people. And now the deep state controls him. And we can see right now that he is out there and they're preparing to maybe launch an attack and go to war in Syria. Now we need to remember, Russia is in Syria. If they make a move to get Assad, this is going to be a problem. But Turkey is on board with this. Because Turkey is saying, if Washington decides to launch a military operation in Syria, Turkey will support the move. So they're ready and prepared. So let's think about this for a second. From Trump's remarks on Syria, we have a couple of explanations here. He caved to the deep state, and he's stupid because he can't figure out that they're lying to him. He's calling all these news agencies fake news, and he can't figure out, let's do a little research and let's see what's happening. Maybe they are blackmailing him. Maybe they have something on him that they haven't mentioned because they can use this against him. Maybe this is a calculated rhetoric. For months now, Trump has been trying hard to shut up the likes of John McCain, Lindsey Graham, or other neocons, the mainstream media, and the war-hungry deep state. What better way to shut them up than to utter one of their talking points, thus taking the wind out of their sails? I don't know. This could be a possibility. Again, we'll have to wait to see his actions. I'm not saying he's going to do this. I'm saying maybe this is part of a strategy, or maybe it isn't. Again, we're looking at his actions, not what he keeps saying. If he calls up the troops and we see aircraft carriers, we see submarines, destroyers head out to Syria, and they tell us what the plan is, well, that's his actions. They've already planned it. He's with the deep state. So we're going to have to watch this very carefully because we know a couple of things. Now, we've been looking at this for a very long time. This is nothing new to us. Remember, in past reports, what do we always talk about? The deep state, the central bankers, they never give up on their goal. They might change tactics, but they'll always come back to try to reach their goal. Have we not seen this over the years? I mean, really think about it. In 2013, the sarin gas attack, they got rid of all the chemical weapons. The U.S. signed off on it. Russia signed off on it. The UN signed off on it. And they said, okay, that's all we wanted. And then all of a sudden the Islamic State appeared and they made another move to get rid of Assad. Then the U.S. said, listen, we're going to help Syria out and we're going to get rid of the terrorists in Syria because we don't want them taking it over. It would be worse than Assad. So the United States started bombing inside of Syria. And guess what? They weren't really bombing the Islamic State. They were bombing the infrastructure. They were bombing the Syrian army. They were helping the moderate rebels, Al-Qaeda, and the rest of the groups move towards Damascus. Then Russia stepped in. And the United States never wanted to join with Russia to fight the terrorists. Russia couldn't understand this. We all are on the same page. We want to get rid of the terrorists. Now remember, the United States invaded Syria to help them. Russia was invited into Syria to help them. Now we're at the point where they tried using chlorine gas attacks all throughout 2016. It didn't work. They said Assad was using these attacks. And we turned out that it was all the terrorists. They were using the chlorine gas. Because guess what? There was no reason for Assad to use this because they were making their move and pushing the Islamic State back. Here we are today where the Islamic State is almost beaten. They're almost annihilated in the country. And here we are with the deep state, the central bankers, the neocons, using the story of sarin gas, which the United States signed off on. So now they're going to make up the story that they found under a rock some sarin gas, and Assad is using it. Because where did he get it from? They must have missed it. He must have been hiding it someplace. I mean, this is how far they're going to go to convince everyone we need to go to war. And this is really what they want in the end. They want a war. We've been watching the neocons, the deep state, the central bankers move military assets into Eastern Europe, into the Middle East, and the South China Sea. We've been looking and watching them provoke each one of these countries. Let's provoke Russia. Let's provoke North Korea. Let's push Syria. Let's provoke China. Let's provoke Iran. Remember, all the players are the same. We're going to war with all of them. And what we're seeing right now is time is running out. Now, will Putin or maybe someone else step in to calm the situation down? Hopefully. We don't want war. We know there's a bill in Congress right now to reenact the draft. All they're waiting for is an event. They don't put things into Congress if they're not going to use them later on. They always have things set up, just like the Patriot Act right after 9/11. That was all prepared and ready to go. They always have everything ready to go. So here we are at the same point we were back in 2013, where a red line was crossed. I mean, can you believe they're even saying that again? And they're still trying to go after the same goal. They still want the war. They still want what they want. They're not going to give up. And we're going to have to see how far they're going to take this. Because you know they're going to want to get their way. They're running out of time. The economy's collapsing. Things are falling apart. Truths are coming out. They can't have all of this. They need a cover-up. And what's a better cover-up than war? It covers up everything. Everyone forgets everything. And that's where we are headed. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.